They don't complain when life gets hard. They don't break down when pressure mounts. They simply go quiet, adjust their stance, and keep moving forward. You've met these people. Maybe you are one of them. They're the ones who've walked through fire so many times that smoke no longer makes them cough. Their resilience isn't loud or performative. It's woven into their very being, invisible to those who haven't traveled similar roads.
Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of people who've endured too much, exploring the silent survival traits that make them fundamentally different from everyone else.
There's a particular kind of strength that only comes from surviving what should have broken you. It's not the strength you build in a gym or develop through positive affirmations. It's forged in the darkest moments, when you had no choice but to find a way through. These individuals carry a quietness that speaks volumes. Their eyes hold stories they'll never tell, and their calm demeanor masks a storm they've learned to navigate with precision. One of the most striking traits of people who've endured too much is their ability to remain calm in chaos. While others panic when plans fall apart, these survivors barely flinch. They've experienced enough genuine crises to know the difference between an inconvenience and a catastrophe. A delayed flight, a broken appliance, a rude comment, these things roll off them like water off a duck's back. They've faced real darkness, so the shadows of everyday life don't frighten them. This isn't indifference. It's perspective earned through pain. Their emotional regulation is almost supernatural. They've learned to compartmentalize not as a defense mechanism, but as a survival skill. When emotions threaten to overwhelm, they know how to set them aside temporarily, deal with the immediate situation, and process feelings later in private. This makes them appear cold or detached to some, but those who know them understand it's actually a form of profound self-mastery.
They've had to manage their emotions while navigating impossible situations, and that training never leaves them. Trust doesn't come easily to these individuals, and when you understand their history, it makes perfect sense. They've been let down by people who promised to be there. They've watched support systems crumble when they needed them most. They've learned that the only person guaranteed to show up for them is themselves. This doesn't make them cynical, necessarily. It makes them discerning. They observe. They wait. They test the waters before diving in. Their trust is earned slowly, but once given, it's solid and deep. They know what loyalty means because they've felt its absence. There's also a heightened sense of awareness that becomes second nature. People who've survived difficult circumstances develop an almost sixth sense for danger, dishonesty, and instability. They read rooms effortlessly, picking up on tensions and undercurrents that others miss entirely. This hypervigilance started as a protective measure, a way to anticipate threats and prepare for the next blow. Over time, it becomes integrated into how they perceive the world. They notice when someone's story doesn't add up, when energy shifts, when something feels off. This makes them excellent judges of character, though it also means they're rarely fully relaxed. Independence defines them in ways that go beyond preference. It's bone-deep necessity. They've learned that relying on others can lead to disappointment or worse, so they've built the skills to handle life alone. They can fix things, solve problems, comfort themselves, and make hard decisions without needing external validation or support. This self-sufficiency is admirable, but sometimes isolating. They struggle to ask for help even when they need it, because past experience taught them that help often comes with strings attached or doesn't come at all. Their relationship with vulnerability is complicated and fascinating. On one hand, they've been vulnerable in the most painful ways, forced into situations where they had no control or protection. On the other hand, they've built walls so high that letting anyone see their soft spots feels terrifying. When they do choose to be vulnerable, it's a conscious, deliberate act of tremendous courage. They're selective about who gets to see behind the armor, and those chosen few should recognize it for the gift it truly is. There's a quiet wisdom in how they approach life's challenges. They don't waste energy on things they can't control. They've learned through hard experience that some battles aren't worth fighting, some people won't change, and some situations simply need to be endured or escaped. This gives them a strategic mindset that others might misinterpret as passivity. But it's not about giving up. It's about conserving resources, picking battles wisely, and knowing when to hold ground and when to retreat. Gratitude lives differently in them too. Small kindnesses affect them deeply because they remember times when no kindness came at all. A genuine compliment, an unexpected gesture of support, basic human decency. These things touch them in ways that might seem disproportionate to observers. They don't take good things for granted because they've known extended periods without them. This makes them appreciative, though they might struggle to express it openly. Their relationship with hope is uniquely complex. They're not naive optimists who believe everything will work out because it always has. They've seen things not work out. They've lived through the worst-case scenarios that others only fear. Yet somehow, many of them maintain a quiet hope anyway. Not because they're blind to darkness, but because they've walked through it and found that even in the deepest night, morning eventually comes. Their hope is battle-tested and therefore unshakable in ways that untested optimism can never be. Loneliness touches them differently too. They can be surrounded by people and still feel isolated because their experiences have set them apart. They've been places, emotionally and psychologically, that others haven't, and this creates a gap that's hard to bridge. Conversations about everyday problems can feel trivial when you've survived genuine trauma. Yet they rarely speak about their own struggles, partly because they don't want to burden others, and partly because they doubt anyone would truly understand. Understanding the psychology of these silent survivors helps us recognize the hidden strength around us and within us. These individuals aren't broken despite what they've endured. They're reconfigured, operating on different frequencies, carrying capacities most people never develop. Their silence isn't weakness. It's often the sound of someone who's learned that words can't capture certain experiences and that some strengths don't need announcement. They move through the world differently, not because they want to be separate, but because their journey has fundamentally changed how they navigate existence. If you recognize these traits in yourself, know that your resilience is real, your strength is valid, and your survival matters. If you recognize them in others, approach with gentleness. Behind that calm exterior is someone who's fought battles you may never see, and their quiet strength deserves recognition, respect, and space to simply be.